Hello, Butterfield. This is Mr. Tidwell. Welcome back to another episode of the Butterfield Bobcast. I am joined by some superstars. I have Mrs. Madison Slagle, world famous Butterfield counselor, and the one and only Mrs. Kristi Hesse, who comes to us from the Marana Family Center, and she is here to provide us some tips and tricks on how to deal with student behavior. I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Slagle because she's going to speak to some specifics about today's episode.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tidwell. Mrs. Hesse, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here with us. So this topic kind of came about because I was sitting in a handful of parent-teacher conferences this month, and it was awesome just to connect with families and offer support. But there was a lot of families that were asking for tips and kind of tricks from me and teachers on how to have kind of a respectful, healthy relationship with their child, how to provide consequences in a kind of healthy and structured way at home, and how to increase positive behavior. And so we kind of wanted to bring Kristi on to help us kind of connect the dots for us with families. So, Kristi, could you kind of talk about what love and logic is first, and then we'll kind of go into some tips and tricks.
Okay, so Love and Logic is a parenting class that we offer here in the district. We're actually getting ready to start again February 27th for our spring session. We offer it once in the fall, once in the spring, and it's a series of 6 classes that teach you how to have fun and enjoy your parenting while still raising healthy, independent children who can make good decisions. So we have a lot of fun. We always start with dinner, and then we go into lessons, and that takes, it's about a 2-hour evening. We usually run from 5 to 7. We offer childcare, so it ends up being, fun for everybody that comes. We have a good time. We enjoy it, and people learn some great parenting tips.
I know. I'm going to go.
Okay.
Is it free?
It is free.
Okay.
It is all free.
Awesome.
Yes.
And how do families sign up?
Families sign up. They can email me, or if they contact you, Madison, you can get them signed up. Either send them the link. There's a link that they can fill out, or they can email me at k.d.hesse, Hesse, at maranausd.org.
Awesome. And we can link the flyer too in our Tuesday Newsday.
Absolutely, we can.
Perfect.
Okay. So in Love and Logic, I know the training is quite long, so we can't go over all of the amazing things we'll talk about now, but what would be some helpful things for parents to kind of implement right away at home
right now,
today? Yes, to help them with their child.
I think one of the big things is how to win unwinnable power struggles. If you have children, you know that they're constantly trying to pull you into a power struggle, and that's something that you're not going to win. If you're involved in it and you're going to argue with them, you've immediately lost. So you need to be able to step out of that, to have a comeback, to have a one-liner or a reaction that you can say when they start that power struggle. And it's easy. You can go brain dead and just, and not say a word when they're trying to argue with you. You can come up with a one-liner that's really easy and just empathetically, oh, I know, but my friend gets to do that. I know, but I don't want to have to do this. I know. And you just continually repeat the same thing, and eventually they're going to get tired
of arguing
because you're not engaging with them the way that they want. And so you're going to stop the arguing and the power struggle.
Yeah, you're not giving the reaction.
So that's going to cut off that power struggle. And they're going to get used to that. If you do it enough and consistently enough, they'll get used to it, and they'll be like, okay, Mom's not going to react. I'm not going to get the reaction that I want. I need to just...
And what would be common power struggles? So I'm sure people are listening like, okay, what kind of power struggle? Is it have to do with kiddos doing their chores, doing their homework?
Any of that. Okay. Any of that. It's anything that they're going to argue about. Oh, you need to turn off the television.
It's time to go to bed.
It's time to go to bed. But that's going to be, that one actually is more going to be setting like an enforceable limit. So unavoidable power struggle is, I want this candy now.
Okay. I want to go
no.
to my friend's house
I'm
now.
going to go to my friend's house and no.
Okay.
So, and it just is, that's the other thing is you want to tell children no, or you tell them one time things that you want them to do, and no needs to mean no. So it needs to be a one-time deal, but they know if they can continue to wear you down, you may flip-flop your answer. And that's where you need to get into the one-liner. Mm-hmm. I know, I'm not going to, I love you too much to argue about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what did I say? Things, because kids are so smart.
Well,
And
they know parents' buttons really, really well.
They know your buttons and they know how to wear you down. They know how to get you when you're on the phone. They know how to get you when you're busy. They know how to get you when you're tired. And so they're going to try and wear you down when they can. So it's important to kind of stick with these one-liners that you can use for anything. And it'll come out to where they get tired and they know they're not going to win.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And what, I guess, quickly, like, what would be the harm in giving, like, you've said no, you've set up that boundary, but then you're like, you're worn down. So then
your child knows that all they have to do is wear you down to get what they want. Mm-hmm. Which then creates a problem because they're going to continue to push further and further, and they don't know where your limit is. Because that line, your limit keeps changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kids like structure, kids like boundaries. And so they're constantly pushing to see where that boundary is. And if they know they can continue to push it, they will continue to push it.
And I can assume that kiddos that might go to dad's house or then to mom's house, they know how to win battles in either household.
Yes.
And so is this something that, particularly on Love and Logic, or just kind of this process that parents need to be on the same page? Is this something that...
It's helpful if parents are on the same page, whether you live in the same household or not.
Uh-huh.
As we know, as parents, that doesn't always happen.
Nope.
So it can work as long as they know. It's going to work for the parent that consistently uses it.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. They just learn to where they know what they can do and what they can get away with.
Well, what's another thing that you would be covering at Love and Logic?
Another thing is how relationships are key, and your relationships with your children are really important. One of the things that's super important to me and that I have used, I used Love and Logic with my children when they were growing up. And one of the things is to make every hello and goodbye a special event. Make it a special occasion and do something special. And so whenever I see my children, and my children are all grown and they're all out of the house, but when I see them, I always hug them. I always tell them that I love them. And that's how I greet them. And they know that. And whenever they leave, I always hug them and always tell them that I love them. And when I'm on the phone with them, that's always the last thing that they hear from me is that I love them. So that they know all the time. And it's paying that attention to them, that they know that they're important to you and that you are spending that one-on-one time. So like when your kids come home from school, or your spouse comes home, you can use it with your spouses too. You want to, set your phone down, maybe turn off the TV and greet them and how was your day? And give them, even if it's 2 minutes, give them that time so that they know that they are the most important thing to you at that moment.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And our reaction to students and to kids and how they perceive that we feel about them impacts their self-esteem and how they feel about themselves. And so just giving them that undivided attention can make such a big difference. And if you are distracted or you have a lot going on, like you said, like putting away the phone for a moment, even if you're in a different headspace, and kind of manufacturing a moment with them can make
Absolutely.
a big difference.
Yeah. It does. And it makes a difference in how they behave as well. So, because they know, okay, I've got my attention, especially for those that are attention seekers. I've got my attention. Even if it's for a few minutes, I got that fill. So it's, they're going to be better behaved as opposed to trying to fight for your attention. And if they're fighting you against, they're fighting against your phone, they're fighting against technology, they're, trying to get your attention, they're going to do whatever they can to get your attention. So if you give that to them, that reduces that.
Very interesting.
Because they've gotten your attention, they've gotten their fill.
So then what's the play then between the love and the logic in this process?
So the love is that you love your children, and the logic part comes in with consequences and logical consequences that kind of suit what they've done.
Proportional.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of the examples is a little kid kicks a hole in the drywall. And it's like, okay, what's the logical consequence there? He had to fix the drywall, had to fix the hole in the drywall. And his dad worked with him to do it, but he had to pay for the drywall. He had to pay for the materials to fix it. And his dad helped him. And it was like, okay, great. That's what a logical consequence is. It's like forgetting your jacket. Oh, I forgot to wear my jacket today.
Well, you're going to be cold.
You're going to be cold.
A natural.
Yeah. It's a natural consequence.
Okay.
That's the logical part. It's like, oh, well, I forgot my jacket. Or I left my bike out in the front yard and it got stolen. Natural consequence is, well, you lost your bike.
So something related as well.
Right.
So if with the example of the drywall, like what would be an example of a consequence that would be, like, just so people know that you would, like, steer away from? I guess that's...
That you would steer away. I mean, you want it to fit. So, like, the natural thing would be, oh, yeah, he needs to fix that.
Yeah.
Grounding them doesn't logically equate to, I kicked a hole in the drywall, right? It's like, yeah, I got in trouble and I'm in my room, which to some kids could be a consequence. To others, it could be, well, I have my video games in my room. I have my toys,
Yeah.
Well, it makes me think of, the idea is that we are making this bridge between Butterfield and home.
Right.
And at Butterfield, we are respectful, responsible, safe, and productive, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of that's our motto. That's kind of our behavior expectations. And when a kid kicks a hole in the drywall, the responsible thing to do
is to
fix it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, the logic part comes in. And you do want to have logical consequences. And it's hard to watch your kids struggle, and it's hard to watch them, like, if they forget their jacket and they're going to be cold. It's like, they are going to be cold, but that is a logical consequence, and they're probably not going to forget their jacket the next day.
Yep.
So,
Or a logical consequence could also be go to the
lost and found
and find one that fits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are things, you're not going to do things that are harmful to children, but it's
Absolutely.
logically, if they don't want to eat dinner instead of making 4 meals, and this is what you've made, and they don't want to eat it, okay, they don't necessarily have to eat it, but you're not going to make, a whole nother meal for the child.
So do you, in the Love and Logic sessions, do you give examples of possible consequences? Do you talk through these things with parents that there's practice?
We do. It's a series of videos and conversations and working through a workbook, and there's a whole series of different things that we do and talk about, different things, different consequences. And they're like, okay. And it's usually the first thing you think of is the natural consequence. And then a lot of times as parents, we try and talk ourselves out of that because we don't want our kid to be cold, or we don't want them to,
or it doesn't seem extreme enough.
Right. But it's teaching them life lessons. And that's what you want to have happen, is you want them to be able to make a lot of little mistakes and things that they can correct before they get
To adulthood.
to adulthood, to be 18 and out on their own.
That's so interesting you say that. It's the teaching them the life lessons and
Yes.
the incremental lessons, because that is a common thing I say to parents a lot is
Yeah.
I want them to make mistakes in school. I want them to
Yes.
mess up.
Yes.
I want them to do something bad.
Right.
I know that sounds odd to say and to hear,
No.
but that's part of school is
It
learning
is.
how to people.
It is.
And learning what happens when I make a certain choice.
Exactly.
Oh, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's affordable versus unaffordable mistakes. You want them
That's a
to
good way to
make
say it.
a lot of affordable mistakes when they're young. All of the affordable mistakes that they can make, you want them to make them.
I love that saying.
So
Yeah.
that they
I'm stealing
learn, because you don't want them to have to live through the unaffordable mistakes.
Yeah.
I know that now I want to go to Love and Logic.
I know.
And I want Love and Logic to happen at Butterfield.
I know.
All of the times.
I know.
So again, if they want to attend the classes, they can email you.
They can email me. We're
and
going to link it in
We'll link it into the notes, or you can reach out to me or Mrs. Slagle, and we can send the link off to you to get to signed up. But it is a great program. It has been very successful. Anecdotally, I was just sharing before we started that we did Love and Logic at Twin Peaks to the staff, and it made a massive switch. It was just eye-opening and enlightening for teachers, and just the way they go about just thinking about teaching kids how to behave and basically how to people
Yes.
and the way to approach it. So hopefully everyone that's listening, you guys sign up for this. Mrs. Hesse, it was good seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Very kind for you to come over and do this with Mrs. Slagle and I.
This was wonderful.
I know.
Thank
We'll
you,
see you February 27th at Love and Logic.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody.